Welcome back to Everything All the Time. I'm Pat O'Brien along with Court McCowan, who has a crush on Ann Coulter.
Yes.
After last night's big roast. I have to tell you that the whole roast kind of centered around Rob Lowe's sex with that 15-year-old girl or
16-year-old girl, yeah.
It happened in 1988. Rob and I and Glenn Fry were at Bill Lambier's house.
In Detroit.
In Detroit. He's got a big house on Lake Michigan, on Michigan, on a lake in Michigan. And the last video on the video where the sex tape is Glenn and Rob and I smoking with a joint in our hand, giving the finger to the camera, and then it cuts to the sex tape.
Oh, my God.
It was Rob's camera. Now, so this day and age, you think that would still make it?
I think it would make it now.
I mean, I was like, when that happened, I called Rob, wait a minute, aren't we on that thing? He said, don't worry about it. Joining us now is Brian Moses, who was a big part of last night's Comedy Central special on the red carpet, and one of Court's guys. You want to bring him on?
Yeah, let's bring him on. He's also the host of the Roast Battle on Comedy Central. He's one of the creators. Very funny comedian and a very good friend of mine. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Brian Moses. How are you, pal?
Hey, Court. This is way too early for me.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
Way too early.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I got to give you credit. Brian, nice to meet you, at least on the air. I think you're great. I think you're very talented. You started the whole Ann Coulter thing. First of all, why would she show up at this thing last night? But just to let people know, Ann Coulter shows up and is just torched by everybody.
Yeah.
Like, not torched, but torched to death by everybody. So why would she not? Isn't she smart enough to understand this?
She's never seen a roast before, so I think she assumed it would be like a White House Correspondents' Dinner.
Oh. Well, it was far from that. Now, there's always stuff that doesn't make it to the air. So let's start with when you first met her on the red carpet. You kind of came at her with some fun stuff. Talk a little bit about that.
Oh my God! Well, when I knew that Ann Coulter was going to be on the dais, I was more than excited. I was like, oh, I love racist people, so this is going to be fun for me. So I
think the best line was
first,
she's good in the sheets.
Yeah.
Just ask the KKK.
Yeah.
Yeah, my favorite one was David Spade when he said, "Oh, I think Ann Coulter's having a good time. She's laughing. I haven't seen you smile this much since Trayvon Martin got shot."
Yeah.
God. I was even embarrassed to laugh at that one.
Oh, that one was rough.
Right, the white guilt won't let you laugh at that one. It's a funny one, though.
Pete Davidson.
My favorite one.
By the way, it had nothing to do with the death of Trayvon Martin, just so you know.
But go ahead. What was your favorite one?
I mean, that one was a good one. I asked her a couple questions on the carpet. I asked her, because we had this thing called the All Negro Wave and the roast battle.
Right.
So usually I ask anybody, like, hey, would you let the wave smash? And smash means, to have sex with. And she said, oh, yeah, one by one, though.
Well, did she, when you saw her on the red carpet talking to Brian Moses, who was one of the stars of last night's roast for Rob Lowe, I always joke with Rob, my voicemail was the biggest news in the country. His sex tape was like, because there was no internet back then.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, there's nothing to do.
That's why I don't show up at those things, by the way. So, what was she like when she showed up? I mean, you were the first one to see her. Was she like, hi, it's going to be fun? I mean, did she have any clue?
She had no clue. She knew she was at the roast. She knew she was doing it for press. She didn't know how hard it was supposed to be and how good her jokes are supposed to be. That's kind of what I got from her. But she was bubbly. I mean, if you can imagine that. She was really nice. She was polite. She was fun. She wouldn't leave us alone. She was just like, yeah, more questions. What do you got?
Yes, you guys were like Ebony and Ivory on the red carpet there. You were getting along.
That was But let's talk about this too. After the roast, she didn't stick around, did she? She didn't go to the after party. She didn't hobnob with anybody. She got in her car and got the hell out of there. Is that correct?
Yeah, she took right on. Well, she had a red-eye flight to get, but she wanted to hang out. She said she wanted to hang out.
Was there any part of her that's cool?
Besides her heart, She's really nice. I mean, I couldn't believe she was so open with the questions. She was sort of deflective at first, but then the more she got to talk to us, the more comfortable she became. And she's I guess she puts on a really good impression of it. She's a nice lady. I mean, I assume we're gonna have a nice white wedding. So.
Yeah.
White wedding.
Yeah.
Brian Moses is our guest. He was on the red carpet and part of the roast last night. What about these roasts? I mean, they seem to be popular. I'm not sure last night's was that the format. You like that format?
But last night, because I think Rob's not a big enough. That's the biggest thing they've had in recent years. They had James Franco, Donald Trump. Bieber was the most recent person. So when they go to Rob Lowe, I think they were a little underwhelmed. They're like, oh, we've had such big names, now we have Rob Lowe. But I thought last night was pretty concise, and all the jokes are really, really, really hard.
I think Rob is so god-darn... Whoops, I almost said God, the other way.
Oh, well.
Rob is so freaking handsome. Rob is so fucking handsome that anything goes past him. God, he's handsome.
I thought some of the stuff. I mean, the old days were, you had Sarah Silverman, you had, you had Nick DiPaolo, the late great Patrice O'Neill, Greg Giraldo. Some of the people I think come out and hit a lot harder. I didn't really feel like anybody. I mean, maybe Pete Davidson. I mean, Jimmy Carr hit pretty, some great.
Ralph Macchio was great.
I thought Ralph Macchio was good. I thought Peyton Manning, of all the people that were up there that are obviously not comics, I thought Pete Davidson was Peyton Manning was really good. I thought Jewel,
oh my God.
I thought Jewel took the hits really well because they really made fun of her teeth and her face and
I think she's kind of pretty, to be honest.
I think Jewel's cute, but I that's just But I thought some of that stuff was.
Wait, we didn't have Brian on to get your thoughts.
Yeah, I know, but I want to know what didn't make the roast, and you can say anything on this show. So, but what's some of the stuff that didn't make the roast?
They were pretty good about everything. They didn't really cut out anything too harsh. I thought in the room when I was there, it felt like they were being a little hard on Ann Coulter. Like I heard they called her the C word a bunch.
Right.
I think she got called the C word by Jewel, by Pete Davidson. And then the Jimmy Carr and Jeff Ross called her a bitch. So I just thought they were kind of ganging up on her. I think maybe you don't see that too much through the edit.
Right.
But in the room, it just felt like everybody was jumping on the Ann Coulter, the shit on the Ann Coulter train.
I'll tell you, watching it from afar, which is in my apartment, my house, she looked like she was stunned when she tried.
Right.
I know she tried to smile, and with all
No, I
the,
think that is her smile.
with all the people up there hitting on her, did everybody think it was a success, Brian?
I feel in the room they thought it was because Jewel, I think, in the room had the best set. She hit the hardest, and then it was Peyton Manning, and then Jimmy Carr. I thought Jimmy Carr probably stole the show.
God, Peyton Manning is great, isn't he?
Oh, he's good.
Oh my gosh, couldn't believe it.
He's got that deadpan.
Yeah, he's solid. Now let me ask you this: was it as bad in the room as it looked on TV when Ann Coulter got up there? Because the way they were panning to the crowd, it was just.
One person was
crickets in the room. Other than the booze, there were a lot of booze, but
yes,
it was that
yeah,
bad.
they weren't trying to give it to her. Plus, she was visibly shaking. I mean, she was up there. She was shaking with her book in her hand. I think she just wasn't ready for it. Even there's a thing I saw with her where she was even saying she's like, I just don't like the jokes because they're not funny. And it's like, well, you could at least play off of them a little more. But she didn't know how to do that because she'd never been to a roast. She'd never been talked like that openly, I guess, in public.
Yeah, I want to get to that part of it on the other side because I've been roasted by the Friars in New York. And while it wasn't a lot of fun, it was about 2 weeks after my voicemail. And you just got to sit there. And
you got to
laugh
take it
and try to be a gentleman about it. And it's ugly. Hey, Brian, can you hang out for a minute?
Of course.
All right. Brian Moses will read from his tablet. See, why do I think that's funny?
I don't know.
I don't either.
Did you write for Ann Coulter last night?
I should have. I guarantee you that. I should have. We'll be back in a minute.